Welcome to Defin, episode number 40 with me, Vijay. That's narcissistic. I'm going to start with myself. This is me, Vijay, and Ray from Belgium. And we have special guest all the way from Russia, Mr. Nikita Prokopov. Okay, I'm just gonna call you by your Twitter name.
Nice try.
Sorry.
Actually, people in Russia ask me as well how to pronounce this, so don't worry. Even Russians can do that right. So
no, that's really not a good idea because we're Indians. We are pretty close to Russians for some time. I mean, I'm not sure now, but at least in the 70s or so, like super culturally,
I guess
very close.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm sorry for that. Anyway, welcome to Defin, and this is episode number 40.
Yeah,
so Ray was just talking about middle age crisis. I'm not sure if that applies to Ray, but
definitely applies to me. Yeah.
Not really. I think it's for me and Nikita maybe, and you have already passed down
pension crisis. Fair point. Yeah.
So, Nikita. So welcome to Defin. Just please give us some, introduction about yourself. What do you do? How did you get into Clojure? We'll get onto the internet questions later.
Okay, sure. I'm Clojure programmer from Russia. I've been coding for around 15 years, I guess. I started with Java, but then got into the crisis after 5 years of Java. Switched to Erlang and enjoyed it for quite a while, sometime, I guess 1 or 2 years. And then switched to Clojure. Yeah, that was time when, I guess, Rich Hickey started advertising the Clojure, all the talks like hammock-driven development and stuff like that. So I got inspired by him and I just decided to take a look what he's doing. Actually, yeah, I just enjoyed the talks and I didn't know he's also made the language. And when I learned this, okay, I have to check. That's how I got in Clojure.
What were you doing with Erlang?
We were building a comment system. The company was called Echo. It's kind of like Discus. But it was like San Francisco startup, and they actually started before Discus. But when Discus saw an opportunity, like this was viable business, we moved into white label projects for media companies, like selling to business, and Discus was for users. So that was our split.
Because Erlang is meant to be very good for the chat systems, isn't it? And for I'm just trying to think about the comparisons of the languages, about what, was it just like a professional interest? You were doing that because, you were interested in concurrent programming, or the chat servers didn't take much resources, or what were the things that made those people choose Erlang?
For me, it was the company. It was just I enjoyed the people.
Sure.
But usually, yeah. So it also was an introduction to the functional programming for me. So before that, I only knew Java and Python, and they are not very functional. So it was that moment when my mind turned into this mindset. So Clojure came easy. So I already knew functional programming. I already knew JVM.
Right.
So Clojure was super natural fit. But yeah, in general, Erlang is for very reliable systems, networking systems, stuff like that. It's basically, it was supposed to do what Go language is good right now, but for some reasons Erlang wasn't as popular. But it's basically the same niche, I guess.
So before we get into all the computing stuff, can you please explain your about page photograph? I mean, you have some sort of a string instrument and you're sitting in snow and you're wearing Owen mittens and a laptop. I don't know. How exactly are you using these things in those Owen mittens?
No, yeah, sure. It was actually, we were shooting a video for my friends It was supposed to be like all this old stylized Russian tradition. So we have samovar, the musical instrument. Samovar is this thing where you make hot water, boiling water. The string instrument is balalaika. It's basically also like Russian thing. And but because we were shooting, I had my laptop and we decided, and I was one of the actors, so we had like all this grim, all this makeup, and costumes. But I have my laptop, so we decided to take the photo, and it turned out to be like super cool photo. So why not? Yeah,
it's super cool though. I mean, both in literal sense and also in general colloquial sense. Like a lot of snow, so super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get back to the commuting stuff. So you're talking about Erlang. So why did you choose or how did you enter Clojure then? Was it because just Richike's talks, or was there something else in your mind? Because you had some experience with Java as well.
I guess it was Richike's talks, and it made sense. So when you listen to something and when you read about Clojure, it just makes sense. Like you see, well, yeah, this is smart. Like this might work and stuff like that. So it was just charmed, I guess. I don't know. And we actually in the same company, so I didn't leave the company. They let me to start a Clojure project there. And like this was my first experience with Clojure, so we started the project, and I guess a year later we had 8 people working full time on Clojure project, and it was one of company's like product.
Had you seen a Lisp before, Nikita? Because that's kind of a thing which is, I mean, I guess Erlang has definitely got some odd syntax, so you're kind of used to weird syntaxes. Is that? Or did you find Lisp quite natural?
No, it was fine. It was fine, actually. Maybe strange a little at first, but you're right that Erlang has strange syntax as well. But kind of like, in Erlang, it's very pedantic about where you put commas and dots. It actually require you to have exact number of commas. Like in JavaScript, you can have hanging commas, I guess. So it's like makes copy paste easier. In Erlang, you can do that. It's very strict. And you have to have a dot at the end of the file. It's just required. So when I entered Clojure and it says like, we don't need commas, so just put a space in between. It's like, wow, it's cool. Yeah.
Freedom!
Yeah.
Commas everywhere.
Yeah, I must admit, I actually find, and maybe it's just me looking back in the sort of rear view mirror now, but I don't think so. But I thought Lisp was quite a natural syntax, actually. Seems so easy. It just seems almost too easy.
Yeah, absolutely. You start to thinking something must be wrong. It can't be that easy, but it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, actually, I don't agree that there is no syntax. Like, it's just the syntax is in the standard library. Like how you write ifs and whens and loops. It's a syntax. It's just a convention that you have to know. You have to know how to write for loop, for example. I guess it's kind of syntax.
But from the language feature-wise, what is your I don't know what is the fundamental things that you think Clojure was doing better compared to Erlang, for example?
Well, this is easier. So Erlang is a great language in terms of building systems. So they have like really strong ideas how to handle errors and how to control processes and like restarts and make stuff that will last long, like that will survive unexpected conditions, like something that you didn't envision happens and part of the system dies, but it can recover. It's really easy to write such system in Erlang. But language-wise, it's very like small, bare bones or something like that. It doesn't have much features. It doesn't have a good standard library. At the time when I was working with it, it didn't have hash maps. It has now, but it didn't back then. So you basically have lists and records, I guess. So what we did for hash maps, there's a thing called prop list. It's basically a list with even number of elements where like first and third and fifth element are keys, and second, fourth, and sixth are values, and so on. So that's what we used to use for hash maps. And it's like it doesn't have strings as well. So instead of strings, it just has list of integers basically. And it's a weird language. So it's not very convenient to write, I don't know, algorithms, anything basically.
But Elixir wasn't there at that time.
Yeah, I guess Elixir fixes at least part of that. I hope, yeah. But yeah, on the other hand, Clojure, it's very nice language in terms of data processing. It's like have all the tools, and it's so natural to write such things like processing collections and stuff like that. So it was, yeah. The only thing I missed is like this green processes from Erlang, when you can just have stuff running concurrently. And in Erlang, for example, you can spawn processes for each user in your system, for example, or for each incoming connection, stuff like that. In Clojure, it's a little bit trickier.
But how do you compare, for example, of course, Erlang has process-based concurrency, and then Clojure, I mean, more or less, we can use all the stuff in Java, but channel-based concurrency stuff. So you think that it's not really solving the same kind of use cases, or you can't use this one? Which one do you think is more suited for what kind of concurrency things?
Well, so I think like Erlang model is more natural, but I guess it's hard to implement or something like that. And like what Clojure has, it has core async, but it's kind of a hack. And it's like you have to do more things with your hands, basically. When it gets down to the processor, basically Erlang runtime does that for you. In Clojure, you have to do it yourself or via this very smart macros and core async. But it's like I don't know. Yeah. I guess it's fine for like typical web usage, I guess. Most of them are fine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So let's talk about all your open source stuff. I think most popular one is, interestingly enough, not programming one. I'm not sure if there is any programming involved in that one. So Fira code, the one. Yeah. So why did you fork Fira?
I just get inspired by design stuff, actually. So I was like, 3 months, actually maybe 4 months ago, I took a vacation from working as programmer. And I was like rethinking my profession, what I want to do in life and so on. And I noticed that I pay a lot of attention to design and visual stuff and stuff like that. So maybe this is also a viable part for me. So yeah, and I got inspired by this font called Haskell. It was a font for Haskell with ligature. So I thought like, okay, great idea. I like this idea. That's what I should do. But I didn't like the font they used. So I made my own, and it turned out not to be that hard. So yeah.
How did you make this one? Because this is something that maybe I'm not sure many people might not be familiar with. Because if I go to that repository, it says it's a Clojure repository. So what is the magic involved there to get all these things?
It is Clojure because there's like exactly one file. Well, now it's 3 files with Clojure, yeah. But so I use it to generate some code in font. So basically, the font files, they have a little scripting language, maybe not scripting, declarative language, I would say, that basically defines transformations. And you can do like very crazy things with it. But basically, you can say, if there is a symbol followed by this symbol, or like this might be a set of symbols and then something else, we can replace this subset with this subset. And then you can like generate rules like that. Yeah, it's and you can basically do ligatures. You can do kerning with that when some combinations of letters should be closer together, like A and V. They should be closer than they usually are in a string and stuff like that. So yeah, basically you do that. You basically declare like if you see a dash and followed by a greater sign, then it should be an arrow. And you draw an arrow, give it a name, and basically write this rule into the font. Why I use closure is because it has like, I guess, 150 or something like that ligatures. And basically they are all drawn in a font file. And my closure script just basically extracts the names and generates the code for these substitutions. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's really nice. Actually, I did use it for some time, but now these days I use some other font. I'm also fascinated by the monospace fonts a lot.
Which one are you using?
Keep trying different things. I use Operator from Joe Heffler. Yeah, those guys. It's a bit of an expensive font, but I really like that one. I love it. It's a beautiful font. But it doesn't have the ligatures though, so that's and I rarely think about ligatures that much, but I think there are a couple of other nice fonts in open source as well. But really beautiful work, by the way. Thanks a lot for releasing it on open source stuff.
Can you do like if you see I've used Fira font and I see the arrows and the greater thans and for greater than equals and stuff like this. Does the font allow you to do like lambdas for FN? Or is that not one of those things?
You can do that. I just don't do that in the Fira code, but you totally can do that as well. The reason I'm not doing that is because I decided that if you replace some combination, the thing you replace it with should be of the same width, so you don't mess up the indentation. So basically, if we replace defen with lambda, it will be like 4 letters for 1 letter, and it will the line will become shorter. So I don't do that.
I was just thinking of for anonymous functions, but okay, yeah.
There was remember the overtone thing that I forgot his name. Sonic Pi creator.
Sam Aaron.
Sam, yeah, exactly, Sam Aaron. So when he released his Emacs configuration, I think he was the first person to do that. Like set has the set notation when I type it in Emacs, but if you have Emacs, then it's a kind of natural thing. So no, for you, Ray, but for
actually,
normal people, yes.
If normal people.
if you dig in my GitHub, I also have a project called Closure Unicode, and it basically bins like not all, but some of set operations to Unicode symbols. It basically like copies the definitions. So you can use that and use like mathematical notation, but it's not.
Yeah, sweet. That brings us to the question of the hour. Emacs or some other shit?
No, some other shit, yeah.
No, you're from Russia, man.
No, I have a reason. The ligatures don't work in Emacs.
Yeah, you're not a fucking moron. Yeah.
Hey, they work in my Emacs, so I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's not moronic actually. It's more kind of like sadomasochism, isn't it? Yeah. It's like autoerotica, or people who want to like jerk off with a lemon in their mouth. Also like Emacs. Anyway, what's your reason, Nikita?
What's wrong with self-pleasure? What the fuck? I mean, just because you're a Catholic white guy and then suddenly people enjoying something by themselves is a problem for you now. Anyway, so
just to put it out there, I'm not a Catholic, okay?
I'm just stereotyping. I mean, you stereotyped the entire Emacs community, so you deserve this. So.
But I've got knowledge on my side, I've met half of them,
but they do. But they do work, by the way, but only in the the Japanese fork of Emacs, Emacs Railway Cat thing. That one you can actually enable the Mac operators, and then ligatures work automatically. That was very very nice They release patches for Emacs every time, and then it's Mac compatible if you want to follow that branch. But anyway, I mean, like it just weren't a big deal for me. So use I suppose you use Vim then, or something else, or
No, I used to use Vim when I was working in Echo, but then because everybody was using Vim and I kind of get into that thing, but then I left it. When I switched to Clojure, I tried Lighttable, and it was kind of fine, even for some time while it worked. Then they stopped to update it, and unfortunately, I have to switch. So right now, I'm using Visual Studio Code. Yeah,
no, with the Clava or something.
Calva, I guess. Yeah. Actually, there's two plugins. Sorry, there are two plugins. One is from Russian guy Andrei Lisin, and it's like most popular still, even with Calva. And I actually met with him here in Moscow. He's in Moscow as well. So yeah, it's not very nice. There are a couple of things left to be desired, unfortunately, but it works. Yeah.
Why do you like Visual Studio Code, by the way, rather than Atom or something like that? Because it seems pretty similar.
Yeah. Well, I guess Atom it has this vibe of like a lot of good people came together and did something, but they weren't really coordinated or very good at what they were doing. So it's not quite polished. It's like
so essentially it's a shitty software,
and it's slow.
It's like Electron app.
Yeah. And on the other hand, like Visual Studio Code is very polished, and they like take these things very seriously, right? So it's like it's nice. Okay. It's nice looking. It works nice. It works reliably, I guess. And they like they care about extensions and compatibility and stuff like that. They like publish documentation. I guess Atom has that too. I don't know. I just tried. I didn't like the feeling of it. It was slow, and I switched.
It's a bit slow, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
So because you wrote so many, when you participated, or I don't know, you were part of so many Clojure projects and so much amount of Clojure code, what is your opinion about Clojure tooling in general? Because of course there is an IntelliJ with cursive and everything. That's a very beginner friendly and probably good for beginners, and rest of the people, will use Emacs anyway. So, so what is your state of the art about Clojure tooling?
I don't know about. I tried to use cursive, but it didn't. It was like I hate IDEA because it's also like very heavyweight, and I didn't understood how this like cursive, where to put windows, where do I look for output and stuff like that. So the perfect thing for me was Lighttable. It has like inline display of result when you evaluate something. It displays right there.
Yeah.
Displayed errors. It let you watch variables inside your functions as they execute. And it was like very nice feature. So I miss it, and I hope one day something like that will be possible in Visual Studio Code or somewhere else. So yeah, my opinion on tooling is basically I hope everybody is using REPL. I think everybody should be using REPL. But I wasn't very... Something was wrong about the way NREPL is implemented. I don't remember what, but I hope the PREPL that Richiki is doing, it was like I was for a long time I was worried. Well, okay. First of all, I never managed to get ClojureScript REPL working, so it's like impossible. And so I just used to reload the page, and then I used Figwheel to like reload it for me. But it's like really, really hard. I hope this like will become easier at some point. And second one, I was really disappointed in a way how REPL was implemented, especially this like network REPL. It was like we have a standard input and standard output, and all REPLs are designed to work nice with that. But and then we tried on top of that, we tried to make like is network compatible and split it into messages, which is, I think, is another way around. We should have something that has clearly defines inputs, outputs, and stream of prints, I guess, out std out, and then we can combine all that to have terminal REPL, something like that, command line REPL. So it was kind of implemented other way around. But what I see in Rich Hickey's work, I guess p-REPL is exactly that. It's like REPL defined in terms of input, output, and standard output, something like that. So.
Yeah. I think there was, because I'm using the p-REPL for a little project I'm doing, and yeah, it has, you have the inputs, and then it has like some outputs that you can understand, standard outputs, standard fields, and easy data to manipulate. And you also have this this tap function, which I'm not quite familiar with yet, but needs to be worked on, which means you can sort of tap into the functions as they run to do transformations if you want to.
Is it?
So there's it's.
Is it? I thought it was supposed so that if you have like, if you run your process in some console, so you can join from other process via REPL and get the same output like multiplexed to you and to that console or something like that. Is it? No?
The stuff that I'm doing, or the stuff that
Prepl the Prepl with tap function. I thought tap is like join and listen for the copy of the messages. No?
Yeah, but not necessarily from other processes. It's not. I mean, obviously, Clojure hasn't got that level of abstraction on it.
Okay.
You know,
no,
it's just different. With the p-REPL, you have a tap. There's two different things here. You've got taps, which is like the thing in Clojure 110, and then you have this tap function, which is something that you can give to the p-REPL. And that's just one thing that you give to the p-REPL to listen to its output.
Yeah, but like this was like long overdue. I think something like that, like good REPL, especially networking REPL, should be in part of the Clojure, like from the start. Or
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know that it was kind of like a new thing. It's going to be interesting to see how the tool guys react to it, to see how whether people move their NREPL middleware over it or something like that. You know, I think it's going to be an interesting thing. Because the thing I find weird about NREPL actually is that it's like you don't know the stacking order isn't obvious all the time.
Yeah. Middleware is like also kind of weird concept for me, especially like all the plugins for Visual Studio Code, and I guess not for Lighttable, they all require you to put some stuff in the middleware, or they refuse to work. Like Visual Studio Code, for example, requires you to have CIDR middlewares. Otherwise, you can see exceptions and you can see documentation, stuff like that. And I don't really understand this concept. Like I thought that if you have a running Clojure process somewhere, you should be able to join and do everything like there, right? Instead, you have to think about that beforehand and put CIDR in, and only after that, and everybody should be using CIDR then. Otherwise, everybody has to agree, and I don't understand this concept. When I was working with Lighttable has different middlewares, and it was kind of a conflict. I wanted to put in a project Lighttable middleware, so other guys who's using Emacs wanted CIDR there, and I don't need that, and it was very strange architecture.
So let's talk about your project. So because we have two super popular projects of yours, one is Rum and the other one is DataScript. So let's talk about Rum. I mean, why one more React.js thing? Why did you create Rum?
So the idea of Rum actually came from the need to use DataScript for React programming. So I enjoyed React when it had I never actually tried OM, but I enjoyed Quicksand, I guess, by Luke Vanderhart. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Crescent,
it was great, but it didn't support like DataScript very well. And other, it's like super simple, super minimal, and it was cool, but you can't do much with it. So and I wanted to use DataScript, and neither OM nor Reagent supported DataScript. They are like, we have atoms, put everything in atoms, but it wasn't like how I envisioned applications. So yeah, I had to do something, and like I had some patterns I already used. So basically, I wrapped this in a library. I guess RAM is well, RAM is reactive ARM. I don't know.
Close.
It was some pun on OM, I guess. Oh yeah, I remember. So there was OM. So I made like reactive OM, which is ROM. And ROM is a Russian word. You say it ROM, it translates to English as RAM. So yeah, I got it. It's kind of, yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Totally. Yeah.
So you're having a lot of rum and you're like, fuck this thing, I'm gonna make my own React.js stuff. Super cool. So when you compare with right now, we have of course rum, and I'm not sure if Quiescent, and I don't know how it is pronounced. Is it Quiescent? Quiescent. Yeah. We have a native English speaker. So Quiescent. And, of course, we have the big one, or at least, the most popular one, in my opinion, from the blog post and everything, Reframe and Reagent combination. So where do you see RAM going in this sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it has a place in ecosystem as a super thin wrapper. But it's not very good for beginners, I guess, because it's very opinionated. So it basically says, do what you want. I don't care. It doesn't provide you like solution for storage. It doesn't teach you how to organize your application. It's very flexible. So it can be whatever you want it to be. But it makes it hard to start. If you don't know what you want, it makes it hard to start. So.
You think this is because you've got an Erlang background,
No. I don't know. I just don't.
I'm just teasing you. Okay.
I like flexible things. It's kind of an evolution of skill, I guess. At first, you need things very unflexible, which like teach you how to do things and guide you. Don't do that. This is impossible, so you better don't do that and stuff like that. And in the end, you want something flexible, super, with no restrictions, like Clojure, basically. Clojure lets you do anything. Like you can redefine syntax, you can, I don't know, like implement your own classes or hierarchies or whatever polymorphism, right? And write your macros, and macros can do crazy things. But if you don't know what you're doing, it will be dangerous. So I think RAM is... I think I have RAM because I have Clojure background.
Okay.
Not the other way around.
What I was going to say was, because I think one of the things that's interesting about React is the fact that it's going onto the devices, to the mobile devices. Does RUM work on the React Native side now?
Not officially, but it can be made to run there. I have a couple of projects are using it with React Native. Yes, it's possible. But in general, you ask about the future of RAM, and my current thinking is I'm very disenchanted, disappointed with web ecosystem and web frameworks and stuff like that, and I just want to get as far away as possible from it for some time.
That's a nice segue. So let's talk about that now.
Just before we go there, though, I mean, before we go into the sort of bigger rant, I mean, I'm interested. React to me was kind of an interesting, jumping off point away from the complexity of web frameworks. Actually, it did bring a simplification to the table.
No, yeah, absolutely. But.
So it struck me as something which is like, you can stay with it because it's like, yeah, this is really simple, you know. We've just got like a nice way of saying, okay, we declare our data, we declare our functions, and now we just have to have this functional transformation from the data onto a virtual DOM, and everything else can be taken care of by the smarts of the diffing algorithms. You know, so it seemed like from my perspective at least, it seems like quite a nice way of doing web programming and not very complicated.
No, yeah, it's great, and the appearance of React and virtual DOM idea was like huge step forward. I mean, very huge, and it happened somewhere when I started to do front end programming in browser, and yeah, it's I actually like really felt this difference between writing like programming in jQuery, for example, when you have to remember which state you are in and change this, versus doing everything from the scratch every time. Yeah, it's great. But again, I kind of just kind of tired of the web itself, the DOM, it's very unpleasant environment to work with. It's like have so many limitations. It can be fast and stuff like that. You basically like spend unproportional amount of effort to get like trivial things done. And on the other hand, I think React and RAM as well, they're good as they are. They're perfectly fine frameworks, and you can do great things. I don't think there is like much room for improvement or something is missing there. And that's why I find it hard to, for example, update RAM for new versions of React. For me, they're all the same. So basically, the big idea was virtual DOM. Everything that comes from after that is just like small improvements. It's basically they change things for the change sake. Like we think JavaScript programmers will enjoy this more. I'm like, okay, maybe, but we're like in ClojureScript, we don't care how JavaScript programmers program React. We already have wrappers, right? So I got what I needed from React, and it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. The thing I was thinking about actually going beyond that to a more simple world would be to be able to have something like React or sort of like implement something simpler than the DOM on a canvas. Because that's a very open programming model.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. It's very interesting, especially in the web, how web might become something faster than like basically overcome current limitations. It's not clear right now, but basically Canvas is one of the solutions. You know about this Flipboard, right? When they implemented mobile application in Canvas, and it was like 60 FPS easily. Yeah, if we put something like accessibility on top of that, and like screen reader support, I don't know, we can get something nicer, I guess. But it will be like Wild West, like back to Adobe Flash and Silverlight times, because everybody will be implementing their own widgets. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about DataScript. What is the central idea behind DataScript?
So the idea was to try to bring Datomic into the browser. Well, yeah, but basically it started because I was interested in how hard it would be to implement what Datomic does. And it turned out to be not that hard, at least like basic functionality. And then, then it turned out to be a nice idea. Again, I'm not saying like I knew that in advance, but it turned out to be very, very nice. So the idea is that you have to manage your state in using some library, basically, some storage. Like we use databases on a server, right? We don't write to files. We use database when basically you can query your data and get the parts that you're interested in any shape you're interested in. So basically that's what DataScript does. It keeps your state and let you query it in whatever way you need to.
I was just going to wonder whether you were inspired by systems like Meteor and stuff like that. Firebase or?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess. No, I don't remember actually. I know about them now, but I can say I knew a big deal about them before. But what they provide, well, basically they provide a little bit more, right? They let you synchronize your state to the server. And this is like a huge feature, which I want at some point to have in DataScript as well. But it's not there yet. But even without it, just keeping state on a client in a managed way is a huge win, like for just organization sake. You just like so much simpler and so much nicer to use when you have database and you know that your entities are all flat. They all have IDs. You can like go from, I don't know, from post to comments, from comments to post, from authors to post to comments, whichever way you like.
So do you support local storage, or is it just in memory?
It's just in memory, but it has a serialization format, so it's trivial to save to local storage or send it over the network. But basically, even when I worked in Cognition, we used that. It also works both in Clojure and eClojureScript, and we utilize that as well. So we build database on a server, then serialize it and send it to the client. The client deserializes and start working with it. That's how it worked.
But did you know about the Mozilla's project? Because I'm just looking it up now, and apparently it's now unmaintained. Mentat or something. That was they tried to do the same exact thing in Rust. I thought this was a live project. I'm just checking it again, and it says unmaintained. It was ported to Rust at some point. Inspired by.
Yeah, I remember somebody contacted me and we spoke about it, but I don't remember much details. But I remember that exists. Yeah.
Okay, because I was following it for some time. I think probably a month ago or so. It was still active, and then now I see it is in unmaintained state suddenly. Okay, interesting. Anyway, so
that's what you do to projects, is it, PJ?
Yeah, I mean,
as soon as you follow
I refresh it. The thing is, if every month, if I don't refresh, they go into unmaintained state for some reason. I'm like, oh, the fuck. Weird. That's why I have a pingdom towards all the Nikita's projects. Oh, Emacs, the shit that I'm using that is written around 1980s or something. Still works. So
just a quick question.
Is this the reason?
Before we go on to that, a quick question on the serialization part, Nikita.
Yeah.
You were saying you were using it with Cognition. So how does that work? Because I think they're at Atomic Shop, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because we talked to Robert, a long time ago. Yeah, friend of the show, Robert.
We are in the Middle Ages of the project.
Yeah. When we were kids, we spoke to Robert, and he was telling us he was there at Atomic Shop. So I guess that was a bit of an easier transition, the Atomic to DataScript.
So we basically have we had custom codes that basically we stored the state in actually the way it worked, we used event sourcing. So we had events stored in Datomic. Then when user accesses the page, we know which events to pull from Datomic. We pull them in, transfer them, apply all them to empty DataScript database. So one by one, and you get the latest state basically by that, event sourcing. And then you send the state to the client, and client continues to do the same. Basically, it was mainly done for speed up because applying events on Clojure side, on JVM side, was way faster than doing that in the browser. Yeah. So after that, just client generates events. They got applied to the local DataScript database, and they got sent to the Datomic for persistence.
Has anyone used it apart for a Datomic backend, for a SQL backend, or for a document database or something else, or has it only ever been Datomic?
I don't know. I mean, not in Cognition, but there are many projects using DataScript. Maybe somebody did. I don't know.
Okay, no, I was just wondering what the hooks were really.
Well, the hooks are, it's It's, for example, in SQL database, you have separate IDs for different tables, different IDs for different tables can have the same IDs, right? So you can't use that in DataScript because DataScript expects unique IDs for everything. So this is one of the hiccups. I guess we did some project with this way on Clojure Cup. I remember we were struggling with IDs, and basically you have to write this code that translates tables to DataScript. It's much simpler with Datomic because they're essentially the same model.
Yeah, I guess you could just store a client ID and just store everything as a blob. That's another way of doing it.
Yeah.
And no power of the database at all then.
Yes. So let's move on to much more depressing stuff.
Okay.
I hope your disenchantment is only because of the web-related stuff, or is it about the software in general, or can you give us a bit of a view onto your disenchantment about all the shit going on?
Yeah, I hope there is like there must be a reason, right? So something happened which made me like criticize everything around me. It's not that it doesn't deserve to be criticized. I mean, computers are very shitty things, and but yeah. So yeah, I guess it's because of the web stuff, because it's so inefficient, and because it's like so bloated, and because like there is no clear path to some like bright future, and I don't see it, and it's like going to get worse and worse and worse. And like people working with web, they're like interested in wrong things, like not in building something efficient and lean and stuff like that, but just something bloated and getting stuff done no matter what price.
But isn't this dichotomy it was there at every generation, right? I mean, at some point there were all this Windows applications with all the shit coming in, and the UI was horrible on all the desktop applications, and then every generation has the similar kind of. I mean, I'm not saying things are better in the past or anything, because we have seen that probably Ray has seen much more generational turns than I did, maybe one more, I guess. So what is the difference now? Because in the desktop application world, we had the similar kind of shit. I mean, weird looking UIs and 4GL languages and all the bullshit coming in, drag and drop interfaces, and then they're messy. And so what is the new shit?
Well, I don't remember. So somebody said this like 90% of everything is shit, right? So
Yeah.
And actually, like when I published that, somebody pointed me at the article Nicholas Wirth wrote in 1995, like, and he's basically saying exactly the same stuff, but like nobody is like writing correct programs and efficient programs, and somebody invented icons and Windows, what's the crap, why text isn't enough and stuff like that. So, and then somebody pointed out that the extra in like 60s or 70s wrote the same stuff, like software crisis and so on, projects going over budget or performance and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been.
Isn't it a bit like, like Stone Age man complaining about teenagers?
Yeah. But well, yeah, kind of, I guess. I don't know, but I think still, if you compare software and websites are way crappier than general software, at least on a Mac, right? On Windows, maybe not everything is great, but on the Mac, I guess on Windows, you are happy to use web software because it's better than Windows. But on a Mac, like no, the stuff Apple does, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Again, I mean, at least it starts instantly, and it has polished UI, and nothing breaks.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, there is silver lining to this, I guess. So I was like on a conference this weekend, giving a talk, and I happened to listen a couple of talks on the YouTube about Flutter. It's a framework for Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of
From
skeptical
Google,
at first because they like re-implemented Cocoa look and feel and material design look and feel
Yes.
like as they claim to the pixel, like it's pixel perfect, and they like made the scrolling feels native and stuff like that. But everything from the scratch. So it's not system stuff, it's just a copy of everything. And this sounds like a stupid idea on one hand. But
Yeah. I mean, it has been a stupid idea for at least twice, right? In AWT and Swing and Eclipse RCP. And maybe, I keep having this, Groundhog Day sort of situation. Like, oh, this is exactly the thing that I heard some time ago. But I did try Flutter. I was trying to use Flutter, but as I was explaining, I was on beta constantly on Mojave. So I was trying to install Flutter and I couldn't because I was on beta, and then that was dependent on some retarded node module called, I don't know, iOS control, whatever library. And they didn't update. And then finally I was able to install. But then the shit needs Dart. And I was like, oh, I'm too old for this shit now. I'm not going to learn a new language now. And I gave up. But it sounds like an interesting idea. But the thing is, I don't know. It sounds like same shit, different decades.
Maybe.
It's like
it might
it's
be.
not
I
even
don't know.
David.
I don't know. But so I listened to these two talks. One is like called rendering pipeline in Flutter, and the other one I don't really remember. But I guess there aren't many talk. Flutter's layer design. But yeah, it's basically from the creators of. They explain how it works. And how it works, it sounds quite legit. I mean, they care about the right stuff. They care about performance. They did layout. Well, layout is reasonable, right? I don't know what the state of the art in layout is, but it's certainly what they describe is better what web has, is better that Apple has. I guess it's better what Android has. I don't know what Android has. But yeah, you have to learn a new language. This is kind of a bummer. But on the other hand, you can look at it. You don't have to touch JavaScript, so it's
yeah, that's
so
true.
it might be fine. I wish it was in Java, or I could use it from Clojure, but still, it might be good. I have to try it though.
Yeah,
I plan to try it.
But I think the other thing that people are doing. I mean, in the games world, obviously people are looking at, raw performance. So, they tend to have more focus on that stuff. And, I think you've spoken about Jonathan Blow's stuff before as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ideas at the moment. I think a compiler won't be ready until next year. But that's also, kind of interesting from our perspective that he's doing metaprogramming at a low level. But the other thing I was going to talk about was this unikernel stuff, because this also strikes me as something which, from a future perspective, strikes me as an interesting way that the industry will eventually move towards for like server-side stuff and sort of IoT type things. Because, we have the world of IoT of shit at the moment, but eventually people want to, if they're going to use very low-powered devices, they want, bare metal programming, but with a few more affordances than assembly,
Yeah, like unikernels also inspire me, like something like when we're moving in the right direction instead of like making things worse. And I hope you actually can run Erlang in unikernel, I guess. It's like somebody like in Ukraine or Belarus implemented it, I guess. I don't remember exactly. I saw the guy who was like one of the implementer, the developers. Yeah.
But OCaml is a sort of poster child, isn't it?
Yeah. There are two unikernels, one for OCaml and another one for Erlang. And I remember also like somebody was talking like it starts in milliseconds. So you basically can boot a new operating system on every web request. So like request comes in and you boot a new operating system, and it answers the request and shuts down. So yeah, it's kind of like the way things should be. You don't need Linux for serving web. Linux is like a baggage. You don't need that weight.
Well, their argument as well is that if you use the unikernels, you have like the subset of drivers that you need from the operating system, and then you compile in the drivers that you need. And the interesting thing about that is that from a security perspective, it's very difficult to hack in, because there is no, with Linux, there's a user space that you can actually log into. And the nice thing about unikernels is there's nothing to log into at all. You can never log into it. And that's really nice, I think. Like you say, it's really back down to what's actually necessary for the functions. Getting Clojure started up in that time is still a challenge, I think.
Actually, I was listening for a podcast, I guess, from one of the creators, Mirage OS, I guess, the Ocaml one, and he said what do you think? It might sound like a crazy idea right now, but things about the future, what future looks like, it doesn't look like Docker. It looks like unikernels. Like, it doesn't make sense to put Dockers into Dockers. Like, it's not the way things supposed to be. Yeah.
I like the fact that that the Docker company bought the unikernel company now.
Oh no.
So
you can put unikernels inside Docker.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if you know of, because if you do watch these people, they what they've got on the Mac, actually, they're using the unikernel architecture on the Mac to do the native Docker implementation. Because so it's a little like mini network in between like the actual Docker implementations and the Docker native services, and it uses these unikernels to do that.
Okay.
Weird stuff,
So Clojure, eh?
Yeah, Clojure.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it. Okay.
Let's talk about Clojure, like what sort of thing.
We're an hour in. We might as well talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what is your favorite library in Clojure, apart from, of course, the stuff that you have written already, apart from Rum and DataScript?
Wow, surprise question.
Is that a new question, by the way? Is that a new question? You just come up with that one.
Yeah, I've never thought about favorites. Come on. What kind of question is that?
You put him on the spot there. Yeah, come on.
I don't know. There isn't one.
No, I mean, because we have so many libraries to build your stack with. So what is your go-to stack if you want to start a Clojure program, for example, or Clojure web application?
I keep losing you at the questions. It's like, sorry. I am going to ask you, beep, 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 beep.
That's because my questions are not that important.
Work it out, I mean,
Watch sleeps.
So, what is your favorite stack? Not just a library, but what is your go-to stack for Clojure web applications?
Okay, so I used HTTP Kit for some time. Then we found some nasty bug in it when I was on Cognition, so we switched to the JBoss one, Immutant. Yes, Immutant. Yeah.
Immutant.
So we're using
Immutant.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I guess I was using Hiccup. And what else is there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And Ring stuff and the libraries that comes with Ring, like sessions, cookies, and stuff like that. Actually, at some point, I was thinking about writing my own routing library. Oh yeah, I tried BD, and I was like very confused by the syntax. I just couldn't make it do what I wanted. Like I tried all the ways, it still didn't do what I wanted. So yeah. So at this point, I was thinking, okay, I know how to write like a routing library, but I just didn't. But I still know. So at some point, I will have my own stack. I will have everything, like web server I should write as well, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if you have unikernel, then you write your own operating system. Yeah. The whole thing, everything.
So never publish it.
Plans?
I have. What is next for me? I don't know.
What is next for you?
Actually, like I guess I want to try different things which are not related to web. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I wanted to try Rust, and now I'm also inspired by Flutter. like because it's just a new fresh
Mhm.
start. Like there is not much mess yet, so it might be nice. I don't know. Yeah. And see where it leads me. Maybe like mobile applications are nicer than web applications. I don't know. Maybe they need data script, so I would write data
Yeah.
script in Swift.
What is Tonsky? Is it because I thought Tonsky was your last name? Unfortunately, I mean, I just started typing
I used to
everywhere.
have
I was a bit
actually, yeah, I used
confused.
to have my last name and Twitter name, but then I removed it. I just kept Nikita,
Yeah.
and after that, everybody started to call me Nikita Tonsky. Yeah, not the first one. But so yeah, the story is really simple. So Tonsky is a short of Nikitonsky, and Nikitonsky is a change of Nikita that we used in
Oh.
university. So like it was like funnier way to say Nikita, so we switched to Nikitonsky, and we changed all the names that way. So everybody gets
Yeah.
Onsky suffix. And then it was too long, and I shortened it to Tonsky. So basically, yeah.
Okay. No, I know because I typed everywhere like when I was announcing the episode, I was like typing Tonsky, and then I saw Prokopov. I was like, oh, did I make a mistake? And I had to correct everywhere.
I guess it's fine. I guess people also see Tonsky and they know what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're full-time Patreon now, or are you working for something?
No, not really.
No?
No. So the Patreon, by the way, the Patreon was quite successful, but it's right now it shows like crazy amount of money, but it's just one time it was a generous donation from JetBrains for this month.
Yeah.
But they going to pull the plug the next month, so it's just one time thing. But yeah, it's I guess it's enough to keep for a week. I guess like it was like around $600 before that. So yeah, and I'm going to, well, I don't know. Actually, I decide as I go. Last month it was Fira Code mostly. This month, the Martin Klepsch actually convinced me that I should do doc strings for DataScript because it has no documentation as of now, like none at all. Everybody who asks about documentation, I just go read the Datomic, and they like tried the Datomic, but yeah, I tried, but this doesn't work. Yeah, of course it doesn't work because it was different. What's the matter with you? Yeah, and I don't know. Actually, I'm surprised that people still use it and with this attitude. But yeah, so I actually probably will support these projects. Try something new, I guess. As I say, I want to try new things, and I have like so many ideas. I just oh no,
not enough time.
Not enough time, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, super nice. So is there any other topic that we want to mention? Of course, I mean, you're on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Tonsky. It's not Nikita. It's not Prokopov. It's Tonsky.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So any famous last words for this episode?
I don't know. Enjoy your work. Enjoy Clojure. Don't get depressed, and it's all be good in the end, I guess.
But are you going to apply for Clojure is Together funding or something?
No, I did.
Okay.
Results are not in yet, but this month, yeah, I did.
Okay.
Let's
okay. Fingers crossed.
Best, because there's a lot of stuff like DataScript could use.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with the stuff, and yeah.
Awesome. Nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, great to talk to you, man. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and thanks for your web frameworks. I think they're, despite the fact that it's web is a pile of shit. It's nice to have tools like DataScript to help us out and wrangle it a bit more easily. Yeah.
You're welcome.
And also, the Fira code, there was a, I think, really, really beautiful font. You made it even better, obviously, with the linkages and everything. And great work on RAM and DataScript. And I hope we keep offering us across for you, so you get into Clojures together. And hopefully, you don't flutter away into Dart, and then you'll continue building awesome stuff for Clojure for us.
I just wanted to say that So this thing with Flutter and looking for better stuff, I was just like listening, and I'm not like one part of me like, okay, I should try it, and the other part, okay, how do I implement this in Clojure? Like, so maybe I just steal the ideas, like, and do that in JVM, and we'll have
Yeah.
like cross-platform desktop framework for applications that works 10 times faster than Electron and 10 times lighter and all that. Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. You bring Flutter to Clojure, call it Clutter, and that's exactly what we need in Clojure.
Yeah,
That's what we need. Bring Clutter to Clojure.
It's a nice name, yeah.
Please use it. We only charge when it is successful. So until then, it's free. Hey, it was very nice talking to you, and thanks a lot for joining us on this Sunday. And I think we can roll the credits now. So that's episode number 40, and we are going to have the next episode pretty soon. We are trying to have at least 1 or 2 episodes per month coming up. And of course, as long-time listeners of this podcast know already, we are on Patreon. So first go to Tonsky's website, Tonsky's Patreon, and give some money there. And if you have a spare change, you can come back and then give that money to us, so we can loudly complain about Clojure constantly. So that's it from us for this episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And I lost you again.